Okay, so Amanda, you are looking for some support around optimizing your
Yes.
digital altars setup. So talk to us about what that looks like for you.
So I've kind of gone into the deep dive of asking the questions about my business, like specific, like the who. So I've created altar for the who. And and then so I'm kind of curious at what point do I archive that data so it's not pulling up old stuff that's not relevant anymore? And then do I keep it in the altar and then start other chats below where it's like if I have different altars like my who, um, like like what else would I put in my altar? Like I have a bunch of stuff in there. Um
These are
that would,
great questions. Can I
that
pause you
would
for a moment? Do
yeah,
you want to screen share and show
yeah,
us your digital
I
altar? Are you
can.
comfortable with that? Okay,
Yeah, I think so let me pull it
go
up.
ahead and screen share. Show
Because
us
I
what your altar
got
looks like. I already have some ideas just hearing you talk through this.
okay, so let me it because I feel like it's a hot mess and I'm a Libra and I like things to look pretty and neat. So let me get back to the Zoom and then I want to share this one. Okay, so this is like all like I have a few things pinned because I um um do a things repetitively, but here's my impact where I have my who, one of my offerings, and then my strategy kind of thing. So like at what point, and I'm working on my who right now. And
Mhm.
so we've kind of gone through and done all this work, and I'm trying to distill it a lot more. And so I'm like, at what point do we get, I mean, it's like really long. At what point
Yeah.
do I kind of archive some of this work and then start over because I have it in a Google Drive. Like I'll copy and paste over into a Google Drive and then like where I ask very specific questions. And then I will dump in stuff and then like here it's like okay, it's a distilling process. So we've come up with like phase one and I call it my Woo workbook. So we have a section one. So we've kind of gone through all these different sections of my Woo workbook structure. And so that's what I'm wondering. Um, so I have my who, but then do I start like once I get all of that defined, um, then I can start different chats down here and not necessarily pin them in here. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah, so let's just do a quick little primer on digital
Okay.
altars. Thank you so much for sharing this. I think that this is going to be really helpful for a lot of people. So,
Okay.
digital altars, you can think of them like project folders in ChatGPT or Claude. But
Okay.
one really big difference between StarPath and other AI platforms is that we let you curate your own cross chat memory. And we do this for a couple of reasons. The first is that if you've worked a lot with Chat or Claude, you might notice that it kind of remembers everything, but not really, really well. And it
Mhm.
remembers it out of context. So you might be talking about something for work, and Chat might mention like a health issue you had that came up or something that's going on with one of your children. And you're like, oh, what does that have to do with the conversation we're having right now? And it can be very frustrating. Or it might remember something related to the business that's old. Like maybe
Mhm.
you were really working through something around your who, and then you came to a point of completion around it.
Yeah.
Now you're on to that next up level. You don't necessarily want your AI remembering something that was like an earlier version.
Right.
So that's why within StarPath, we let you curate that memory. And that's what happens when you pin specific Oracle replies to your digital altar. And we are rethinking this user interface right now
Mhm.
because I want this to be a little more intuitive. And I know that it's not, and I apologize for that.
Okay.
But
That's okay.
basically, when you're on your Who thread, pop over to your Who thread for a moment. And it looks like you might just
It'll
have to
take a
refresh.
minute. It'll take a minute.
Because it's a really long chat.
Oh yeah,
We'll
it's
talk about
huge.
that in a moment. We'll talk about that in a moment.
That's why I'm
You
thinking,
can pop onto another chat. It doesn't matter which one
did
we
it go?
use.
Hang on a second. Let me refresh.
Yeah, you might just need to refresh.
Okay,
There
there we
Okay,
go.
so scroll down to the bottom of one of your Oracle replies and then look at the left. You don't have to go to the bottom of the chat. Just pick any response from your Oracle.
Oh my gosh, where is it? See
That's
where
your message. That's a long message,
I
Amanda.
dumped a lot of stuff.
We'll talk
Well,
about
what
that
I'm
too.
doing is
Okay.
I'm merging a couple things. So I've
Yeah,
asked her to
so
kind of
scroll
help
down
me.
just to the bottom of this current Oracle reply that you're on until you see the little icons for the pinning.
It's long. Hang on. We're
It's
there.
There we go. Okay, so see how, yeah, we've got that little
Okay.
add to alter. So when you click add to alter, what that's going to do is it's going to take that specific Oracle reply and it'll pin that to your alter. So it's not pinning the entire chat, it's pinning this one thing. So let's say you get to a point where you're like, I figured it out. Like I've put the words to who I'm serving.
Okay.
You might just say to your Oracle, hey, can you format this so that I can pin it to my digital altar so that she'll make it a little more concise? And then you'll want to pin that. So if you go back to your impact altar, this piece that says foundational who, it's not a whole chat. It's a specific Oracle reply.
Okay.
That's what lets you create really good context because, you know, I think some people have this perception that when we work with AI, we can give it, 100 pages of reference material. Oh, it's going to remember everything. That's not how the tech behind the scenes works. The more context you give an AI, the less it actually remembers. And at a certain point, if it gets confused because it can't retrieve information, it will do something called hallucinating. And this happens across all large language models. So my rule of thumb is less is more. Less is always more. And that's why we only give you 7 slots for pinning your context, because the more you curate that context, the more your Oracle is going to remember exactly what you want her to remember. So with regard to your question about when do I archive this chat, I would say you archive that chat when it served its original purpose. So if the original purpose was, I need to figure out who I'm here to serve and why, and you finally get it and you're like, I am happy with this, pin that reply, and then you can archive that chat, or you can keep it live. But at a certain point, the longer your chat gets, you'll run into the same problem where within a chat, the Oracle will remember everything. So the longer it gets, the more old context is being pulled in. So I archive my chats, gosh, at least every couple of months. Sometimes I archive my marketing chat like monthly because there's so much content on there. But I've pinned things like, here's my marketing voice, here's who I serve, this is StarPath's vision to my impact altar. So it's okay for me to start a new marketing chat like every single day if I want, because she has all of that context. So I would say less is more and archive aggressively are 2 of my themes.
Okay, so so this is sorry, I'm dyslexic, so it takes me a few minutes to process. So like, do you, because I'm going through like my who, there's like who they are, their struggles and all of that kind of thing. And do you just copy and then paste on a document? And then once you get that all of that kind of distilled down, then bring it back in and pin it?
It really depends on your working style. So, if you're someone who likes to have a big, long document, then great, go ahead and do that. Something that I've learned about myself is that I think it's a good idea to create a big document, but the reality is I never go back and reference it. All these big documents are like one-time uses because they're not dynamic enough. Our businesses are changing every day. Our lives are changing every day. And so I really am a fan of how short and concise can you get about something. Now, I think the one exception is if you're doing deep dives into things like pain points and desires. Yeah. So I started my career in market research. So I am a huge fan of go deep into your people and understanding them. So if you have very long, specific lists of this is what my person is like, this is how they feel during the day, this is their ideal day, this is what they want, this is what they fear, put that into a document. And you can also pin that to your altar. But because I do a lot of market research, I like to have those laundry lists because I'll go look at them when I'm pulling up reference things for like marketing content. So
Okay.
yeah, I definitely would recommend doing that. You know, we've toyed with the idea of whether we want to do document upload, but just based on everything that I have read, the research and the way that I've seen AI work, I really think the more you give the AI, the worse the outputs are. Like that's generally
Okay.
what the data shows. So, you know, distill
Okay.
it down to the essence. And you could pin something that's like pain points and desires. Like that would be a great
Okay.
list to pin. And then you have your overview of your foundational who. So again, I
Okay.
think it's really specific to how do you like to work? How do you like
Yeah.
to store ideas? I think that for most humans, our brains are really, really busy. So less is more. And if you
Yeah.
need to go through the exercise of putting it into a long document to just wrap your head around like, what is this? Then that can be great. But I tend to think that most of those documents become graveyards. Like we don't go
Yeah.
back to them because it's just too much.
Okay. Okay. That's helpful. That's helpful for me.
Yeah,
Thank
and then
you.
when it comes to designing your impact altar, I think you've done a beautiful job here. I mean, you've got your brand essence, who you
Yeah.
serve, your
Yeah.
strategy. Like these are all the core pieces that we do want
Mhm.
our Oracle to understand when we need to
Yeah.
start to chat about business. Because maybe you're going to open a thread about, okay, I'm running a promotion. Like, how do I want to market this? What are my ideal
Mhm.
marketing channels? Or maybe you want to
Right.
start serving a new type of customer and ideate on that. Or maybe you have a marketing thread. You know, she kind of has all those foundational pieces. So within the
Okay.
altar, I just wouldn't be afraid to archive your chats because
Okay.
the longer they get, the more muddy the responses will become. And you know, the beauty of StarPath being built within Ephemeris behind the scenes means that she's going to reference your birth chart with every new query. So
Mhm.
you don't have to worry about that. Like that's one of the problems that people run into with ChatGPT is like even if they paste all their birth info in, it's going to forget it because it's too far back in the chat. So
Okay.
you don't have to worry about that piece of the puzzle, but
Right.
go back and look at some of your chats. Look at the first question that you asked and look at what you're where you are now. I mean, it's like it's almost a totally different conversation. And so I think
It
people
is.
our natural inclination is, oh, this thing feels so human. So I should just talk to it like a human. But that's not how the AI's brain works, right? And so we don't want to
Mhm.
overstuff it. So yes, come to that point of clarity, pick a
Okay.
summary, and then go ahead and archive as you feel complete.
Okay. That's perfect. Thank you. Because yeah, there is some that I have pinned that are like a continual thing that I have, like I write.
Mm-hmm.
And then I so I'll write and then just drop it in. And then I just because I want to make it sure that's in alignment. Is that something that I should archive as well?
It's really
Like,
up to you. You know, I have people who do sacred journaling with
mm-hmm.
StarPath. And so they'll just come in every day and journal and kind of ask for those reflections.
Okay.
And you definitely can do that, but you might start a new one seasonally or with the new moon,
Okay.
you know, and you could kind of make that part of your practice because we are always shifting and evolving. I mean, you could even set up a digital altar. Did you know that you can create custom digital altars? You don't have to work within the Impact, Love, and Roots
Oh,
infrastructure. So if you click, again, I'm sorry, we're going to redo this UI. Improvements are coming, but if you click the three dots to the right of a chat, just pick any chat.
yeah.
Yeah, click that. And then at the
Oh,
bottom,
move to a
you can
new
do
altar.
move to new altar. We're going to just add a new altar button. So that is coming.
Okay.
But for now, if you wanted to have a journaling altar, you could even put in instructions in what you pin. You could put instructions
Okay.
that are like, here's how I want you to respond to me with my sacred journaling. You know, I want
Okay.
you to offer reflections or give me new questions of, you know, that I can follow up journal on. And so you could do things like
Okay.
that as well.
Okay.
But
Thank
yeah,
you.
don't
That's
be
very
afraid to
helpful.
archive.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to lose anything. Okay, perfect. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, if I stop recording now?
I'm gonna stop the share. Yeah.
Okay, phenomenal. All right.